We think Hello Kitty, we associate it with cute and adorable. And it is. But after 1999, it became linked to one of the most horrific cases of all time. This is the story of Fan Mengyi. Fan Mengyi faced numerous hardships in her life, starting from a young age. She was abandoned by her family, so she had to grow up in an orphanage for all girls. But at just 15, they kicked her out of the orphanage due to age limits. Obviously, this left her homeless, so she turned to sex work and drug addiction. At 21, she had been working at a brothel. With this new setup, she ended up gaining a pretty regular client. Can't pronounce his name, but I'll put it above me. They hit it off pretty well because he was also a drug addict. They got married, they had a baby, they did all the things, but unfortunately, her home life did not improve. Her husband had been described as abusive. Neighbors in their apartment described being awakened by violence. But at some point, Fan decided that she wanted to provide a better and safer life for her son. She'd been scared that her husband would soon turn the abuse onto him, so she had to devise a plan. She quit the sex work and the drugs and began working as a hostess at a karaoke club. But these changes made it very difficult to provide for her and her son. One of Fan's frequent clients had a pretty notorious past. He was a member of a gang and he had previously had trafficking charges. So basically, he was not the one to cross. Sometime in 1999, she ended up stealing his wallet. It had about $4,000 in it. When he discovered this, he ended up confronting her about it. She admitted to it. She was pretty forward. He demanded that she return the wallet, but also an additional $10,000. She returned the stolen money, but she was having a hard time paying the extra amount immediately. He became sick of waiting on her to pay him back. So on March 17th, 1999, 3 men and 1 teenage girl abducted Fan. The kidnappers included Chan himself, 2 of his fellow gang members, and a 14-year-old girl that he had been grooming. She was held captive for a month. He intended for her to pay off her debt through sex work. And this is so sad because she fought so hard to get out of this lifestyle. She desperately wanted to provide her son with stability. During captivity, she was repeatedly essayed and tortured. She was tied up and used as a punching bag and beaten with metal bars. In one instance, she was kicked in the head around 50 times. Her captors aggravated her wounds with spices. They would also burn her legs and feet with hot candle wax and plastic. She was forced to consume human waste. And throughout all of this, she had to smile and say that she enjoyed this. Otherwise, the punishment would be even worse. Somewhere between April 14th and April 15th, she ended up going into traumatic shock, and she ultimately succumbed to her injuries. When her captors noticed that she was dead, they moved her to a bathtub. They dismembered her with a saw and boiled any remains to prevent her from rotting. Most of her body had been discarded, but y'all, they took her skull and put it inside of a Hello Kitty doll and then filled it with insects. They also kept 1 tooth, some internal organs, and the rest of her had been found inside of a trash dump. On May 24th, the 14-year-old girl who had been groomed led the police to her remains. She just could not take this guilt anymore. She even described being haunted by the ghost of Fan. On December 7th, the 3 men were convicted of manslaughter. In exchange for immunity, the 14-year-old girl testified at the trial. The men ended up receiving life with the possibility of parole. In 2004, her skull was returned to her family, and she was cremated. The apartment building that they had held and tortured her was demolished in 2012. There's now a hotel there that pays its respect to her life, with the display of 3 Buddha portraits. There was also a necklace that the guys had taken from Fan, and this was returned and given to her son, and that broke my heart.